It's a bull. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Lovely day out there. Hope your day's going well. In case this is the first time watching these videos, I've been a coin dealer and precious metals dealer in South Florida, a brick and mortar store, since 1977. Started with my family business. I'm a second generation guy, so I think I know what I'm talking about most days. Anyways, let's move into, that's my key phrase too if you don't know me. Anyways, it has been lately. Let's take a look at what today's topic is kind of, although I kind of wander around, but primarily I wanted to talk about one thing. This looks a little morbid, I know, but you may tie your shoestrings in the morning, but the undertaker may untie them before the night. I remember this saying from way back. I don't know where it came from. However, it kind of brings to mind that precious metals people with gold and silver, you need to have a couple things in mind when you're buying gold and silver, and something we haven't discussed in some time. That's security. Good security is an important thing. And then also having someone you can trust in case something happens to you to make sure that your metals don't end up where they shouldn't. Well, first let's move into see spot prices here and see what's going on overnight. The coin set a bull market, and you know, I forget what yesterday's close was in New York, so I can't tell you if it's going to be correct today or not. But let's just say the coin says it's going to be higher than this current price of 1904. I'm going to do a quick refresh here and see what happens. And sitting about the same. We've pretty much broken that 1900 level, although I think we could still see a pretty sizable pullback here. I don't think it would last long. It'd be really temporary. And silver is hanging on to that $28 range. I think the next step up is 29. The prior lows have been higher than the prior lows before that, so we keep getting higher lows when we do get these dips. So that's a very good sign. You know, considering that we were what, a couple months ago, maybe not even, sitting at $1,695 gold at the low, so 17. We're up $200 almost in a matter of a short period of time. That's pretty impressive. But really, I don't think the impressive part is that gold and silver is way up. I thought the impressive part was that it was able to be monkey hammered that low, again, which provided a great buying opportunity for a lot of you folks, and I hope you took the opportunity to buy at those prices. While silver didn't get whacked as much, I think silver hit with the low of 25 and change or something like that, but still, that's, what am I saying? That's not much. That's a $3 difference. And platinum is just befuddled me. 1189 to sub 1200. It's kind of just doing its own thing, not even paying attention to gold and silver right now, but I still think platinum's super cheap at this sub $1,200 level. Again, just my opinion, and let's move along to the news here real quick and see what's going on in ZH. Now, someone had mentioned the other day that if you look at ZH, it's nothing but negative news, and wow, you know, it's kind of true. I'd sure like to find a news web or a news site that just blew sunshine and unicorns, as someone had mentioned, up my butt. And but what was true? I'd like to have positive, true news. You know, not positive spin that you see on a lot of the corporate media. And again, one of the reasons I like ZH, until someone can point me to some better sites, I like the fact that they have all different opinions, different narratives. It's not a single opinion and a single narrative like you get with corporate media. There's all kinds of things here, and you can learn a lot from ZH as well. Let's take a look at what's in here in today's news. Boy, I got thrown off of Facebook for sharing this article right here. I don't even want to mention it. I got thrown off Facebook last year for just mentioning that it was possible that this happened. But again, we're not a political we're not going to talk politics here. Iran's largest warship mysteriously catches fires and sinks in the Gulf of Oman. Well, why would Brian read that? Well, because that does have to do with a major war that could happen. There looks like there's a lot of tension heating up between Israel and Iran right now. Netanyahu, I can't even pronounce his name, sorry. The current president of Israel, Netanyahu, oh gosh, I tried it again. Sometimes I have a problem with names, folks, so forgive me, has basically been kicked out of the government as the leader of the government. He's lost his kind of power there. So he's more or less saying that he may go ahead and just attack Iran. And if we have a big shooting match going on over there, obviously that'll drive the prices of oil up dramatically. substantially, and that's kind of like a black swan event for gold as well. So you'd see gold and silver. So keep an eye on this whole deal right here, and let's see what happens. As far as that goes, wars are black swan events, and especially when they're involving oil countries. Again, this could move the price of metals up substantially. So this should be on your radar when you're watching the news here. Let's see here, go down here. There was an article down here by Peter Schiff, and I know not everybody's a big fan of Peter Schiff. I am, and I think a couple people didn't like him because of his connection with the unallocated Perth accounts. But listen, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let me move down here, take a look at some other news articles real quick. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. This is kind of interesting, this ransomware attack stuff that's going on right now. Again, I'm not going to open up that article, but what was it, an oil pipeline or a gas pipeline a month ago, and now it's like very strategic things like oil and food. Look, I mean, a meat company basically had their computer systems shut down and ransomware. Where is this coming from? I don't really believe it's necessarily coming from Russia. I think it's coming from the CCP or something like that. I think there's some deep stuff going on back there, but again, that's my opinion. However, what would happen to gold and silver and bullion markets if a ransom attack was done on, for example, the internet as a whole, or maybe financial services, or London or COMEX, or any of the price discovery systems, or even NASDAQ or the Dow? What would happen if a ransomware attack was on that? I mean, could they shut that down? Is that a black swan event? Would that cause the price of gold and silver go up substantially? And again, this is something I had mentioned the other day. I had a friend of mine when I was a young man tell me that a very wealthy friend passed away some years ago, though, a very smart man, David Kiefer, I don't mind saying his name. Dave told me when I was a young man, he said, Brian, he says, get the Wall Street Journal, because at the time there was no internet. He says, get the Wall Street Journal. He specifically said Wall Street Journal. He says, read it every day and read between the lines. Well, what does read between the lines mean? Well, read between the lines is saying, like, well, as far as gold and silver goes, what does this article have to do with gold and silver? Does this article have something to do with gold and silver? Reading between the lines is saying, how does this affect me and how can I profit from this? I think that's what he was trying to tell me at the time. So understanding all these potentially black swan type events, whether it's a war in Israel between Israel and Iran, whether it's shutting down the internet or shutting down the Dow or something like that, these are all potentially events that could cause the prices of metals to skyrocket. So again, besides the fact that endless money printing and inflation, which we've been talking about endlessly, causing the price of gold and silver to go up, you've got all these potential events that could just launch precious metals right through the roof, and other markets too, I presume. Let me go over a few more things here. Take a look at here. What's going on else out there? Futures stuck at 4,200. AMC launches shareholder reward program after raising billions from retail apes. AMC, man, that's at Reddit Wall Street group. God, I'm just still blown away that large groups of people, it's almost like a mob, can just go in there and take over a market, but that's what's happened. But if big corporations can do it, why can't mobs do it? If a bunch of guys in suits that make billions of dollars a year can do it, why can't 80,000 little guys do it as well? So I'm cool with that. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's take a look here. There's Peter Schiff. Traders start to realize high inflation is bullish for gold. And, well, we've always kind of known this, but there's been some strange going on for months. I'm going to read Peter's article here because it's pretty short. I won't read it all, but I'll kind of go over a few key points. For months, the markets have responded to inflationary pressures by piling into dollars and selling gold. They've taken this counterintuitive approach because they believe the Fed will tighten monetary policy to fight inflation sooner rather than later. But we're starting to see a shift in sentiment. As Peter Schiff explains in a recent podcast, traders seem to be realizing that inflation might be here to stay, and that's bullish for gold and bearish for the dollar. Again, what they're talking about is that this inflation is not going to be transitionary. A lot of economists and a lot of corporate economists and a lot of dummies out there have this belief that, and it is true, that 2020 did shut down a lot of things. 2020 is causing issues with product, lumber, for example. We had a lot of mills were cut, mills were shut down. A lot of forests weren't being cut down for the lumber. So that's where you're seeing these inflationary prices happen with lumber and certain products. However, there's this delusion illusion, delusion by a lot of economists and politicians that believe that once that manufacturing catches up with all this stuff, that it's all going to go back to normal. Well, folks, it ain't going to go back to normal, and that's kind of what Peter Schiff's been bringing up, and I've been bringing up for some time. We've never fixed the 2008, the problem in 2008. All we did is added Band-Aids to the dam that keeps leaking, and now we've got a big giant dam full of Band-Aids, and that's more or less where we're at right now. So nothing's fixed out there, and at some point before the 2020 closures, before the shortage of products because of the 2020 closures, we were having issues with inflation anyway, even though governments were in denial about it and the CPI is full of shit. But the fact is that the prices of everything were going up across the board. And why is that? Is because the dollar is falling apart, and that's just endless printing by the morons in Washington, D.C. that encourage it, and the morons that are running the Fed and central banks, in my opinion. However, I do underestimate the central Fed. Maybe they're not morons. Maybe they're doing everything, and that's probably the truth. The truth of the matter is they're probably brilliant, and the Fed is doing everything they can to keep the dam from exploding. But they're going to run out of Band-Aids at some point, folks. And I think it's smarter if we realize what the Fed is really doing is they're trying to keep the dam up and not imploding. They're trying to keep the sinking ship from sinking. You know, they're trying to keep it afloat. But again, they're running out of Band-Aids, folks. It's only a matter of time. Let's see what Pete says here. Last month, we started to see a rotation in the stock market with investors moving out of the hyped, overvalued momentum stocks into more traditional value-oriented dividend-paying stocks that are considered better inflationary hedges. The NASDAQ was the only index down on the month. The Dow up about 2% in May, while NASDAQ saw its biggest decline since October. The reason you saw weakness in the NASDAQ, Peter says, and strength in the Dow, is because the Dow Jones is where you can find more value-orientated stocks. Of course, value is a relative term, but he means that they may not be value stocks in an absolute sense, that they're real bargains, but they're value relative to these hyped up momentum stocks. And what are hyped up momentum stocks? Well, probably Tesla, probably Facebook, probably a lot of these tech, stocks that really don't produce any profit per se yet, and probably still haven't for years. But again, I digress. Peter says that you can see the rotation when you compare foreign and domestic stocks. The reason for that is because foreign markets have a lot of more value-oriented stocks than U.S. I'm going to kind of gloss over this. You can read this yourself, and we're going to move into the gold part here. Meanwhile, gold and silver had a big month in May. Both metals were up about 7.5%. Gold had its best monthly gain since last July and closed the month above 1,900. Peter said the most significant development in the gold market was its reaction to the hotter than expected increase in personal consumption index, the PCI. This key inflation indicator was up 3.6%. And mind you, that inflation indicator was up 3.6%. A lot of people believe that the inflation figures we get from them are complete bullshit. So you can almost probably double that with a reasonable expectation that that's probably more correct, double or triple what they're telling you. So the key inflation indicator is probably more like 7% or 8%. It's flashing red, folks. Much higher than expected. The year-over-year core PCI was up 3%, the biggest rise in 30 years. Think about that. Okay, as soon as these numbers came out, traders went out to their typical knee-jerk response, buying dollars and selling gold. Gold dropped some $15 initially. Okay, that was last month. Of course, this is counterintuitive. High inflation numbers mean that dollars are losing value. It would make sense to sell dollars under these conditions, and it would make sense to sell. It also makes sense to hedge that inflation by buying gold. But the markets are still looking to the Fed. They expect the central banks to try to rein in inflation by tightening monetary policy and interest rates. And you know what? Peter's going to go into that right here. He's more or less, he just doesn't believe that they're going to be able to tighten interest rates. But they're not going to be able to rein in inflation. In fact, Peter believes, and a lot of people believe, that the remember, I was just saying that the Fed was a bunch of morons. Well, that's completely wrong. They're not. Actually, they're quite brilliant, and they're trying to keep this ship afloat. So given that thought that the Fed is trying to keep everything floating and keep the ship from going down in the near term, I think they're going to tell you that they're going to try to rein in inflation by raising rates, but I think raising rates is just jawboning us. They've been jawboning us about raising rates for how long? They do a little temporary rate raise and they back it off again. But on the other hand, who knows? The problem with raising rates, if they raise rates, that's going to pretty much break the U.S. government. But maybe the reset in another way will be allowing the government to default. I don't know how that works. But anyway, great time to own gold, and that's what kind of Peter points out here. Here, I'll put one more phrase in here, or one more quote. I think this is very significant, Peter says, because it shows to me that the traders are waking up to this reality that inflation is bearish for the dollar and bullish for gold. Well, that's true. And they're starting to realize that it doesn't matter how much the Fed barks about its willingness or intention or ability to fight the inflation should it rear its head. The market is starting to realize that inflation isn't going to be fought, that the inflation is going to win by default because the Fed isn't even going to try to fight it because it can't. Well, that's basically just that's basically just what I just said before I read that. So sorry about the redundancy there, but good article by Peter Schiff in Zero Hedge. Traders starting to realize high inflation is bullish for gold. Also on his site via schiffgold.com. Let's move along to, hang on, actually back up here and see if there's anything else here I missed. You know, I could kind of sit here and point out, look, this is dangerous as well. Black swan event, wars. Remember when I was talking about Iran and Israel getting into war? Look at this. U.S. and NATO bombers just flew over 39, including 5 bordering Russia. You know, this Belarus thing here, they're just thumbing their nose at the Russians. And at some point, the Russians are just not going to put up with it. And I can't blame them, really. What are we doing over there, really? But again, I digress. But why did I bring that up? Because can you imagine the shooting war with the U.S., NATO, and some Russian border area? Oh my God, that would I don't even want to imagine it, to be quite frank with you. But all kinds of bad shit going on in that region. And nothing really good. Again, negative news. I would sure like to see positive news out there that was beneficial to all of us. But it seems like it seems like bad news moves some of these markets better. 2020 exploded the myth. Anyways, take a look at ZH if you get a chance. There's a bunch of articles out here in case you haven't read it. I'm going to touch on gata.org. If you are a gold and silver stacker, you probably, if you don't have this on your bookmark bars, then you probably really shouldn't be owning gold and silver because you have to know who the players are, how they play, manipulate more or less, and why. One thing that gata.org does that nobody does better is they explain why, how, and they have great articles on all this. So definitely you should be reading this at least once a week. Indonesia eyes greater financial inclusion with a gold-based blockchain system. And I know what I wanted to bring up here on ZH that I almost forgot. Something that I've been warning people about for some time, but oh gosh, where is it? I'm going to take a look at it. It talks about that the Euro is starting to talk about going to a cashless kind of society, a card. There it is. EU launches the digital wallet and latest step towards cashless society. Remember, I've been saying this for a long time that for some reason I just feel that the crypto market or the cryptos that Bitcoin and some of these other things were kind of just rolled out to get people used to it, to get the younger generation used to the ones and zeros, not having even a piece of fiat paper in their pocket anymore. A cashless society. Well, take a look at this. EU launches digital wallet and latest step towards a cashless society. I'm telling you, folks, that's where it's heading. This is the most dangerous thing that could happen to any of us out there. Is a cashless society where the government and corporations or whomever has complete control over your financial life. Complete control. What does a digital wallet do? A digital wallet, basically, if you owe the government money, they don't have to wait for you to mail a check anymore. They'll just go and take it from you right away. You owe the bank money for something, but you need to pay a certain bill to keep your electric on, so you say, I'm not going to pay the mortgage, I'm going to just pay the electric instead. The bank goes in and they just take your money. Same thing with taxes. You got to pay your mortgage, but the tax man is saying you owe him a couple $100, or a couple $1,000. Well, guess what? Tax man's going to come take it right out of your digital wallet automatically, and then when you go to pay your mortgage, you're going to be zip. I don't even know what happens when you have zero on your digital wallet, but that's where it's heading to, folks. Don't like it. I encourage everyone to discourage the cashless society that people want to move to. They're not thinking it through. Anyway, GAT at hour. I'm sorry. Let me flash back to GATA here. A couple good articles on here again. I'm not going to read them here because the show will get a little bit long, but definitely worth the read. Indonesia eyes greater financial inclusion with gold-based blockchain system. Didn't read this one myself. Kind of interesting. How does that work? I'm going to look in more into that and talk to you about that some other time. Gold-based blockchain. Interesting. Does that mean it's, I don't know. I'll figure it out some other time. Gold price dips are transitory, not inflation. This is something Peter Schiff just talked about. Craig Hemke at Sprout Money talks about this as well. That this is not a transition. This is a permanent thing. The spike that we're going to see in commodity prices and a lot, like lumber, it's a spike. It is a transition, but the spike is not going to be going down. That curve is going to be going up ultimately, even though it is, again, a temporary spike. Peru's elite in panic at prospect of a hard left victory in presidential election. Well, there's a lot of mines in Peru, so what happens if the mines all of a sudden get nationalized down there? So there's all kinds of stuff in here that affects precious metals. Again, as my friend Dave said when I was young, read between the lines. Wow. Let's move along to yesterday's report on precious metals. What next? More or less, I was just kind of saying, where do we go from here? That's what yesterday's video is about. Let me talk. Let me actually answer a few comments here, since I do have a moment to do that. And if you didn't want to make sure to give me oh, Michael, yeah, I gave out my age, I guess. I was, I told everybody I've been doing it since 1977. It's been working for my family part-time then, and so I pretty much gave away my age, more or less. So thanks for telling everyone, Michael. And thanks for watching, too. I appreciate it. Eric Moritz has picked up 5 and 20 franc roosters at $65 over melt. Man, what nice looking coins. Thanks for the push. Eric, I really, that's great. And I love it when I see people out there actually following, good advice, whether it's mine or someone else's. Yesterday's show, I was talking about fractional U.S. gold, like fractional gold eagles, fractional Krugerrands, fractional maple leafs, especially eagles. The fractional prices are just insane. You'd have to be a crazy man to be paying the kind of premiums, crazy person to pay the premiums that they're getting for fractional gold eagles. Wholesale even. Wholesale is just crazy. I mean, the spread, take a look at this. On 1/10 gold eagles, here's the wholesale spread is between 15 and 25%. What dealers are paying for 1/10 eagles. That's insane. So what I did yesterday is I just kind of glossed over, I like that word today. I pointed out a few different coins that are good deals out there. For example, French 20 francs are a good deal if you can pick them up for the melt price plus maybe $30 or something, or $35. French 20 francs are great. Sovereigns, British sovereigns are great. Again, French 20 francs are 0.1867 ounces each. That's how much pure gold they have in them. Sovereigns are 0.2354 ounces each, almost like a quarter ounce. Again, if you can pick them up for spot plus $30-40, or melt plus $30 or $40, you're doing pretty good. And what other good products? There's some good foreign products out there. Go in and ask your local coin dealer how you can save some money by avoiding the fractional eagles and maples and KRs and things, and looking at foreign gold. I'm sure some of these dealers have a stack of foreign gold you could save a lot of money with, folks. And the worst case scenario, when the premiums disappear, you'll get a few percent less than the gold price. Worst case, in my opinion. Maybe 3%, 4% worst case scenario. Again, that's my opinion. Savoy Truffle says, I'm having trouble buying into the notion that Russia and China are willing to place a national treasure at the whim of a global gold speculation. Well, that's basically what that article was about yesterday, is Putin is saying basically, listen, if you're going to sit here and manipulate the price of gold and silver, then we're going to just go in and ruin your plans by telling the whole world we're converting the ruble and the yuan to a gold-backed unit. And that would screw up the repricing that I think BIS is looking at repricing. A lot of countries own gold. The United States owns gold. UK owns gold. Russia owns gold. All the central banks, all the people that tell you not to own gold and own paper money, own gold. So, oh boy, where was I going with that? So more or less, I think what's happening is that BIS, the reason for this Basel Agreement, I think the United States and a lot of these countries that have gold that they own are going to officially reprice the official price of gold. Because remember, United States gold is not figured at what it is, $2,000 an ounce right now. It's probably, I don't even know what the official rate of gold for the U.S. is right now, but it's substantially lower than what the spot price is. So I think what's going to happen, possibly the whole idea behind this Basel agreement, Basel III deal was to allow countries to reprice their gold holdings, which would do a substantial amount of reduction in what they owe, I think. But anyway, interesting article, and glad you took a look at it. I'm glad you were listening, Savoy. Silver Rose says U.S. Mint is a joke. Well, listen, it meant people work hard, and the U.S. Mint produces some good products. But you got to remember, government is government, regardless who it is, whether it's the U.S. Mint, whether it's the Treasury Department, whether it's IRS, the Justice Department. They've all got their morons in there, and they've all got their issues. So, I don't even know where I'm going with that. Let's see. They should pay $500 if there's demand. Oh, we were talking about silver eagles and the shortage of silver. Well, there's no silvers. That's not what caused the Mint to shut down orders for those Morgan dollars last week or the week before. That was a result of stupidity and not updating their systems and being able to handle that kind of order rush, not a lack of silver. Let me move along here, too. Thanks for watching, Silver Rose. I really appreciate it. Wayne Burbank says, is all metal that Basel will be free? Thanks for watching. Now we ride. Nice to see you watching there. If you ever stop by, I'll show you the bull and bear coin. My lucky bull and bear coin. I don't know if it's lucky or not, but I'll show it to you. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Thanks for watching. Now we ride. Please do a video on why sealed monster boxes of silver from different mints are thousands of dollars of difference. Good question, Bert. That goes into the collectible end of it. I don't advise anybody that's buying bullion to buy collectibles, period. If you're buying bullion, buy a recognizable, cheap product close to the price of silver as you can. Don't be paying big premiums for unopened boxes or that kind of stuff unless you're going to play collector. And there is. Some mints on Silver Eagles are worth a lot more. Almost all the 90s, not all the 90s, but 86 through 96 basically, or 97, has a lot of scattered better dates than Silver Eagles. If you can get them in sealed monster boxes, you can get big premiums for them because what happens is some of the big companies out there like to grade these things, and I would never recommend buying them graded, but again, that's a whole different show, a whole different video I'll do one day on collectible coins. But anyways, just buy the cheap stuff. That's my opinion. Nathan Locke says finagling. I like that word too. Hey Benoit, nice to hear you. Nice to see you again there commenting. Benoit always makes some nice comments here. Take a read on this when we get a chance. You gave me a pause it here. But then again, they like just to tell you what's up. Always entertaining. Thanks for watching, sir. Dr. Dog will hunt. Gold and silver will save you from slavation. Join us apes on Reddit, Wall Street, and Wall Street Gold. Yeah, pretty cool, Dog will hunt. I've actually taken a look at the, and I've done a couple shows on Reddit's Wall Street silver, and I don't think I did the Wall Street Gold, though. Thanks for watching, sir. I appreciate it. Michael Fernandez, you got to come in sometime. You wanted me to show you something. I forget what it was, but feel free to come in anytime. And again, thanks for watching, dude. I really appreciate it. Stacking Coin says it's a bear, and he was the first yay out there. I'd like to thank all of you folks for watching my videos. Again, if you're new, please subscribe and hit that like button. It really does help. I think it helps. What I'm trying to do is just create more local business here, but you get the word out for me. I appreciate it. What I was talking about earlier here, graveyard. You may tie your shoestrings in the morning, but the undertaker may tie them untimed the night before. Something, I don't know if I even said this in the video yet, but my father once told me, he says, Brian, he says, make sure that, hold on, let me see if I can phrase this. He says, make sure that you take it all with you, you spend it all, and that the last check you write bounces to the undertaker. So I always thought that was cool. But some of us can't do that. If you have a family or friends, a wife, a loved one, you're going to be leaving this stuff behind. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit here. Storage, real quick, I'm going to just touch on storage and having a person that you can trust and count on. Because, again, it is true. You just never know what might happen. I'm getting older myself. I'm starting to see friends and family pass and go along. In fact, going through stuff now. But and I guess you always do through life, But one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people, nobody plans on dying. And even if you're 80 years old, nobody plans on going. Everyone plans on staying around. However, you have to plan on certain things because first off, if you have gold and silver in your house or you have gold and silver and nobody knows about it, no family member, who's going to get it? The state or the next owners of the house? So I want to go into a couple of things that I think are real important. First is security. I am not a fan. One of the reasons I like holding gold and silver, physical bars, is eliminating third-party risk. And having anyone, even the bank safe deposit box, hold your gold for you incurs third-party risk. You risk losing it because it's not in your direct possession. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, if you have in your house, someone can steal it, but I'm going to get into that in a second here. The whole idea behind owning gold and silver is not to have someone else hold it for you or someone else to stash it for you. The whole idea is eliminating that third-party risk and eliminating, I mean, even the best intentions, the best intentioned bank or security building that's holding your gold. What if something happened to them that was out of their control? Your stuff is gone. It's gone. Forget about it. That's the whole important idea of owning the stuff yourself. So alarm systems are a good thing to have. However, an alarm system is, you can't just leave your stack sitting, your gold and silver sitting on your table or in your top drawer or something like that. And I'm going to move into the next thing. So good alarm system, I think everyone should have, even if it's not connected to a central station, something that might scare somebody and get them out of there. Cameras too, as well. Like cameras, but I got to tell you, most people are wearing masks. Cameras are kind of useless nowadays because of the whole mask deal. Ask me how I know that. So a good alarm system and a good camera system is a good thing that you all should have in your homes if you're stacking. Good to have anyway. And I'm going to move into safes here because a lot of people use gun safes. Gun safes suck, folks. Don't use gun safes. In fact, I'm going to show you something real here. And YouTube. Let's type in YouTube real quick. YouTube. And here we go. And I'm going to type in open gun safes. Even the best gun safes. Watch this. Open a gun safe. And where is it? Watch these thieves break into it. Ready? These are cheap safes, and most gun safes, I hate to say it, are cheap. No matter how they tell you they're well built, no matter how well built they tell you they are, gun safes aren't meant to have these levels, like level 2, level 3, or whatever the hell they call it. Gun safes are just meant to stop people from quickly grabbing things. But take a watch here. They went and they bought a gun safe at one of these big places. And I'm going to skip through this, but I want to show you this part right here because it doesn't take long at all. Ready? Here's your good gun safe that you bought from Cabela's or whoever. This is where some people stack their gold and silver, or even just a cheap safe in general. You can find them anywhere. This safe is probably a couple grand, maybe $3 or under. First thing they do is knock it over. Ready? We're into 9 seconds here. Here's the safes that a lot of people use. Now watch how quick these guys get into this safe. And I'm going to skip forward because watch. Ready? 44 seconds. There's a minute and 3. They've got the door halfway open, folks. Take a look at this. 1 minute and 17 seconds. Your neighbors don't hear anything unless you live on top of somebody. Then they heard the big thump. More or less, there you go. A minute and 43 seconds. These guys are in your safe, walking away with your gold and silver, and probably your guns as well if you have guns, and your other important stuff. So why do I bring this up? The importance of a good safe. Now, you can go out and spend $5 grand, $10 grand, get yourself a safe that would take 2 days for these guys to break into, and that's a minimum of probably $5 or $10 grand for a used safe, like a tan or a fish or something like that. Fitch, I think they call it. But most people can't afford a good, and go out and looking for a good used safe. First off, it costs $2 or $3 grand to bring in a good used safe because they weigh usually 5,000 to 7,000 pounds. The second thing is they're expensive to buy, number one. So most people, it's out of there. And the other thing too is you got to find a place for it in your house or in your garage. And the thing is, I don't like anyone even knowing you have a safe inside your house because they can come in the middle of the night, put a gun to your head, and said, "Open up your safe, or I'm gonna, I got your kid," or whatever like that. So I don't even like having safes because somebody might see it in your house, and that once they know it, they know that you got something valuable in it. So what am I pointing at here? Floor safes. Now, unless you live in an apartment or someplace on a second floor, this is not an option for you. However, floor safes are. You can take a floor safe, and these guys wouldn't be getting into it easy. First, you got to find it. So you can take a floor safe, put it underneath the couch, underneath the rug, in the closet, in the garage, anywhere. You can hide a floor safe, and it's secured into the floor by the cement. So if you own your own place or your landlord allows you to do it, a good floor safe is probably the best way to stash your metal at home, in my opinion. And why did I show the friends and family thing here? Because the second thing you want to do is make sure If you're a single person or you don't have friends and family, try to make sure that you spend it before you go, and the last check you write bounces to the undertaker. But that's not reality. Most of us have friends and family we're going to leave stuff to. When you have gold and silver, you need to have at least one person, friend or family, that, again, your wife, your girlfriend, both. I'm sorry, I'm only joking. Your nephew, somebody younger than you that you expect is going to be around longer than you. So if something happens to you, your house gets sold, the floor safe with all the gold doesn't end up as possessed by the new owners, or the state doesn't get your stuff. And again, another good reason to have a will as well, but that's a whole different story. As far as not having a floor safe, I want to touch on this: hiding places. I was thinking, well, where can I tell people to hide stuff if they don't own their own home or they're second floor in an apartment? Where do you hide stuff? But you know what? I love the internet. Take a look at this. Hiding place for valuable in home. I did that on DuckDuckGo search engines, and there's some great freaking advice in here, folks. So you got to remember, gold and silver, you can stash it pretty easily, but 9 genius places for your gold and silver. Everybody knows the old story. Stick it in a book, because most criminals can't read and they'll never steal a book. But that's an old joke. Inside boxes in the garage, in your kitchen, as you can tell. Fake pipes, vents, and wall outlet plates. Love this idea. Again, if you're single and you don't have a second person in the home, make sure you do tell someone where you're hiding this stuff. That way the electrician doesn't end up with your gold coins one day when the new owner of the house has the electrical done. Fake pipes, vents, wall outlet. Be creative, folks. A bookcase box. Again, remember, criminals don't read books, so they're never going to touch your books more than likely. However, people will toss a home sometime to find anything if they have enough time. An old vacuum. No one's going to steal an old vacuum inside your child's room. Very true. Behind some cleverly placed art, providing they're not going to steal the art. Inside your dresser. You can create a little secret compartment at the bottom of your dresser drawers. All you need is a thin piece of plywood. Absolutely. There's so many creative ways, folks, that you can do this. Again, I'm encouraging you not to store your gold and silver with someone else. You incur third-party risk. All kinds of cool places in your home if you don't have a floor safe. All kinds of places. Again, over 60 places to hide your valuables in your home. This is just the first 2. Bicycle pump, soccer ball, face sponge, plastic packaging, cinder blocks, flower pots. Again, very important, in my opinion, that you don't stick your stuff in a giant stand-up cheap safe. And a cheap safe, folks, is $5,000. A new safe that you spent $5,000 in is not going to stop anybody. Again, it's not. You saw how quick those guys got into. So if you got a big safe standing in your garage or in your closet somewhere, I don't think you're that safe, to be honest with you. Someone that with a couple crowbars can take you out. But meanwhile, if you want to buy a real safe, stand-up safe, you're going to spend minimum $5,000 to $10,000 for a used good one. If you're spending $5,000 for a new safe, it is not a good one. Trust me, not that great. Even $7,000. So good article you need to read here about places to hide your valuables, and I hope I've gone over a couple good things here for you. I could make it longer, but I'm going to cut that out. Friends and family. It's nice to have family and friends. And again, the whole reason I brought this up is because as you get older, or things can happen to you, and you've got this nice little stash, you don't want the stash to end up with the state of Florida or the state of whatever, or the new owners of the house. You want to make sure the stuff is stashed. And also secure-wise, you want to make sure it's not sitting in a big safe where the cable guy comes in and tells his friend, hey, I saw a huge safe in this dude's house. Floor safes, peeps, floor safes when it comes to gold and silver and precious metals, or a great hiding place, I think is a better idea, unless you're going to spend big bucks on a real safe. All right, rounding up this show at the end of the day, I've gone over a bunch of different things here, and best deals out there. I'm not going to go over specific products. I'm going to just tell you what you should and should not pay. You should not be paying over $6 per ounce premium for any silver. In fact, I think you should be in the $4 to $5 range at most while that stuff is available. That would be bars and any other products that are real that you can buy, again, for under a $6 premium. Same thing applies to gold. I would not be paying any more than a $100 premium on any gold items at all. If you are, in my opinion, you're paying too much. And I'd rather see it more in that $70 to $80 range premium. So if you're buying gold eagles, you're paying too much. You're buying maples, you're probably paying too much. KRs are priced just maybe $10 or $20 more than they should be. Best deal out there is gold bars, again in that $70 to $80 range, I think. And best deal as far as silver is not silver eagles. They are horrible. Prices are still horrible on them. And I think you can still make that good trade where you trade 100 silver eagles and get 107 ounces of generic silver. That's still a good trade in my opinion, if you can find the guys that do it. Well, that's really about it. I think I covered everything here pretty much. This is Brian Kuzmar, and remember, buy local, spend it here, keep it here. I recommend that we're a local brick and mortar here in South Florida. I've been down here since '77, second generation dealer. I've been in this location since '95. So you know, we only deal face to face. So if you live in South Florida, you are fortunate. We are fortunate that we can deal with each other. If you don't live in my neighborhood, then unfortunately I can't deal with you. I don't do any online sales or phone sales. So this is why I'm always saying buy local, folks. We advertise that we will beat APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion, the three big reputable dealers out there who I think are reputable and good. I'll beat their prices as a local dealer. It's easy for me to do, and it should be easy for your local dealer to do. And the reason I tell you not to buy from those guys is not because they're not good peeps, but because keep your money local, folks. It's really important to keep your money local in your community, your town, your county, and even if you don't have anybody in your county, drive an hour or so. Find a good dealer in your state. At least keep that money in your state. That's just my opinion. Well, this is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4 Mondays through Fridays. Happy to help you with any deals or what the best deal of the day is. Always happy to do that. Put more ounces in your pocket. That's my whole goal. And that should be yours as well. Hey, thanks for watching again. Hit the like and subscribe button. Appreciate it. And talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.